What's up guys? Today I'm going to show you how to downgrade your slim PlayStation 3 console to firmware 3.55 using the E3 flasher. Downgrading will allow you to jailbreak your PS3 and do all kinds of awesome stuff, including playing games that you've downloaded off the internet. But more on that in a later tutorial. Before we start, let me just say that I do know that there are quite a few tutorials like this out there already, but here's the thing. They're all either bad or like an hour long. My goal here is to make a quality, easy to follow tutorial that can be watched in under 30 minutes. So, to get started, what you're going to need for your downgrade, you're going to need a PlayStation 3 Slim, obviously. You will need a clamp. You will need a E3 flasher. You can buy one of these online fairly cheap these days. You will need a micro SD card and a way to read the micro SD card. There's these USB adapters you can use. You also need a USB stick and Torx screwdrivers. Okay, once you've taken apart your PlayStation 3, you're ready to start flashing. If you haven't taken it apart, you can go into the video description and see my video on the PlayStation 3 disassembly. Now, before you start, you probably want to have some thermal compound because the stuff Sony put on the chips originally isn't very good and its distribution looks like crap. So if you don't want your PlayStation 3 Slim overheating in the future, I highly recommend you get some good stuff like Arctic Silver and apply it when you're ready to assemble your PlayStation. Alright, onto the flash. Now you want to get your flash clip cable from your E3 flasher and slap it onto the Nord chip. This is what the Nord chip looks like on my board. On different boards it could be in a different position, but the way you identify it is basically by the size of it, and you make sure that it only has connectors on two sides instead of like all four like this one. Once you found the Nord chip, you want to look for a little circle on it. Let me zoom in to show you what I mean. Not sure if it's visible now, but there's a little circle in the top left corner, and all Nord chips have this little circle. And what you're going to want to do is you want to put the ribbon cable opposite of that circle and clip this on. Just get it on there nice and snug. It doesn't come off very easily, and you're good to go. Like so. Alright, so next step was going to be reattaching the heatsink and the fan. So I want to get this ribbon out of the way. Best way to do that is just get a little bit of Scotch tape and just bend it a little bit and tape it to the side. Tape it anywhere, it's fine. You can adjust that later. Okay, once that is done, I'm going to grab the heatsink, put it like so. And then put the motherboard on it while at the same time aligning little screw holes. Like you can see there's a screw hole there, there, and there. And there's corresponding screw holes on the motherboard. And just make sure it's seated properly. And you can start screwing in the brackets. Okay, for the brackets, you want to use like a piece of cardboard as backing. Anything will do. Like you could cut a piece of cardboard from some cereal box, and you'll be all right. Screw them in a little bit at a time, just to get them all lined up. Once you have the clips screwed on nice and snug, you can move on to the next step. Let me reiterate one more time. You want these things snug so they provide a good contact to the heatsink and your motherboard doesn't overheat. Well, specifically your CPU and your GPU doesn't overheat. But you don't want them so tight that they crack the little legs on the chips. So it's a pretty fine balance there. Okay. Now that the cooling is attached, we could proceed to clamping this clip onto the chip real good. So for this, I like to use this hand clamp here. I mean, you could use really any clamp, but the traditional metal ones are fine. Just make sure you don't put metal onto the board, like put some tape or some kind of padding in between the board and the metal. This one is really convenient because you could just clamp it by cranking it with your hand, and it already comes with rubber pads, so it's kind of perfect. Anyways, you want to do is just want to clamp it down on here real good. Make sure all the contacts are attached super well. Okay, first of all, make sure the clip itself is on there really good. Then you can hit it with the clamp. Tighten it little by little. Make sure you don't over tighten the clamp. It's not good to do that. Okay, that seems really good right here. Alright, after that's done, move on to the next part. We're going to connect the E3 flasher to the clip over here. We don't need the tape anymore. So this is pretty simple. Like, you have the outline of the ribbon strip here. Just follow the outline. Connect this little connector to this little connector. And you will be all set to begin your flash. There we go. Okay, for the next step, we're going to want to connect the cooling onto the motherboard. So it's like, I'll show you, this little wire that goes from the fan. I'm going to connect it to this connector here. Shove it in there gently and carefully. You're good. And then we want to power this whole thing, so we're going to attach the PSU, power supply unit. Now be aware, it's two little forks here. I'm going to stick them into these holes. There we go. Now we're going to take this thing here, connect it to the power supply connector right over here. That's in. And the final piece of this puzzle, place where the power cable goes. It's to be connected over to the PSU. Like so. Okay, we're ready to power up the motherboard and the E3 flasher. Okay, now let's connect the power cable to the PS3. Connect the HDMI to the PS3. And connect this thing, the on-off panel. Just slide it in right here. And once it's in, you're going to see the little red light come on. So now we're ready to begin our dump. Now we're going to use the E3 flasher to read the data off the NOR chip and store it on a micro SD card that we've prepared. We're going to take this blank micro SD card, put it in like so. The bracket over it, push it upwards to hold it in place. Make sure there are switches in the appropriate position, which will be all switches down except for number 3, which says backup, which is what we're doing right now. So down, down, up, down, down, down. So that's ready. We are going to power up our PS3 console. Now you're going to see the blue lights here starting to dance back and forth. This means we're ready to do the backup. All we have to do is press the top button, top orange button, which says start, like so. Now what you're going to see is, if everything's going according to plan, the little blue lights will start turning on one by one as the backup is performed. And it looks like we actually got an error code and something is wrong. So I'm going to go troubleshoot this and come back. Okay, so I read the error codes and it indicated that my clip wasn't attached to the chip properly. You could find the error codes in the file in the description, by the way. Just go into the folder and you'll see a text file that says E3 error codes, and it will have an explanation for different error codes you might encounter. So I reattached the clip a little better, hopefully this time, and let's give it a shot one more time. So everything is set to backup, clip is attached, memory card is in. Let's press start. Alright, as you can see, the first blue light lit up. That means a backup of the NOR chip is in progress. So this time we were successful. I'm gonna fast forward to when it's done. Okay, the backup is complete, and the way you can tell is it goes back to its idle operating mode, which is the lights going back and forth, back and forth. So now I'm going to turn off the PlayStation 3 console, like this. And I'm going to pull out the SD card and go save the backup file that's on the SD card onto my hard drive. Once you have your micro SD inside your computer, you'll want to open the drive and view files. As you can see, here's the backup, here's the log, and we will want to back that up on our hard drive. So open the E3 flasher all-in-one folder, which once again you could download in the description of the video. Go to step 2. You'll see 3 empty folders called NOR dump, NOR dump 2, and NOR dump 3, and you will want to do a separate backup for each folder. We want 3 backups just to make sure we are reading the NOR chip correctly. This is very important. So I'm going to cut the files from the micro SD card and paste them into the folder on the hard drive. Once that is done, we will want to do 2 more dumps in the same fashion as we did the first one. Once you've done 2 more NOR dumps and backed them up to your hard drive, you're ready to validate. And let me reiterate that it's really important to do all 3 dumps, as they will help a great deal in not breaking your PS3 console. So to validate your dumps, let's go to the E3 flasher all-in-one folder, step 2, and open up the NOR inspector. Now let's go to NOR dump 1, which is the first dump we did and saved. And let's drag it over to the NOR inspector. Now we'll go to status and we'll scroll all the way down, making sure everything says okay. If everything says okay, that means this dump was valid, and now we have to check the other two. Go back out, open NOR inspector again, go to the second dump, pull it over, loads up, go to status, go all the way down, everything is okay, this one's good to go. Close the NOR inspector, open NOR inspector one more time, go to dump number 3, pull that one over as well, let it load, go to status, everything is okay. Okay, it looks like all 3 dumps are valid, so we could proceed to patching one of the dumps. So to do that, we will go to step 3, open this file here called use this to patch dump. Now this file may give your antivirus a false positive. It did for mine, but don't worry, there's nothing wrong with it. There's no virus or Trojan. Just open it up, read the terms and conditions, go back to step 2, NOR dump 1, and drag your first dump into the patcher. Now, if your dump is good, you will see OK. This is another form of validating it. So as you can see, ours is fine. It is asking me, do I want to patch this image? And I definitely do, so I will press yes. And here we go. We have a patched image. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to I'm going to cut it and move it into the main directory here. And I'm going to rename it to bkpps3.bin, and I'm going to drag it over to my now empty micro SD card. Now that our dump is patched, we are ready to write it to our NOR chip. Okay, now that you have your patched dump on your micro SD card, we are ready to write it onto the NOR chip. So same procedure as before, just slide the micro SD card in there, put the bracket on top, hold it in place. Now one little difference is we're gonna make sure all of the switches are down this time. So every single one will be pointing downwards. So micro SD is in and all the switches are down. We're going to turn on the console. Okay, now that the lights are dancing, we're gonna attempt to start writing the dump by pressing the start button. Here we go. Let's see if it works. And there it is. It is writing. Now this takes quite a bit longer than just reading, so I'll skip to when it's done. And at last, it is done. So now the PS3 is flashed. Okay, we're just gonna turn off the PS3. To disconnect the E3 flasher. it to the side for now. We're to take off the clamp. And we're going to attach the hard drive and boot this baby up. Okay, here we go. So we see that the PS3 boots up just fine, and we can go ahead and create a USB stick with Rogero's 3.55 downgrader. Okay, now once you've written your patched flash dump to your Nord chip using the E3 flasher, you are ready to downgrade to 3.55. So to do this, put your USB stick into your computer, open it up, open up the E3 flasher all-in-one folder, go to step 4, Rogero 3.55 downgrader, and copy the entire PS3 folder onto your USB stick. Once that is done, grab your USB stick and head over to your PlayStation 3 console. Now we take the USB stick with the Rogero 3.55 downgrader and we stick it into a USB port on the PlayStation 3. And we boot her up. Okay. So it said I have to press start and select to upgrade the system. That's what I'm doing. All right. Okay, so finally checking is done, and now it's downgrading to 3.55. Just a quick note, if at this point you get stuck at checking please wait, then you probably have to connect your Blu-ray drive onto your motherboard to fix that problem. So just a heads up. Voila. PS3 system software version 3.55 Rogero downgrader. Press the PS button to continue. Okay. Looks like it's all done here, so oh, there we go. You see that? Version 3.55. Success! We did it! Okay, so now there's just one more step we have to do before we could say we're done. That is, we have to dehash with toggle QA, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. Now we're going to put toggle QA onto our USB stick. We're going to do this to dehash the system and make it easier and safer for us to install a custom firmware or an official firmware in the future. This is a pretty important step, so to do it, we'll go to our USB stick, Now we'll go to our E3 flasher all-in-one folder. Step 4, find the toggleqa.pkg file and drag it out over to the root directory. And that's it, you're all done. Grab the USB stick and go to the PlayStation 3 for the final step. Once you got your USB stick with Toggle QA, just pop it in there. And grab your controller. Install package files, Toggle QA. Once you have the package file installed, go ahead and run it. And you're good to go. You're all done. Now you could install custom firmware if you like, or do all kinds of other cool stuff that 3.55 allows. I'll probably do some tutorials on that a bit later on. Thanks for watching, and I hope this was helpful.